NASCAR took a massive risk going to the Coliseum and it ended up paying off big time. Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jet and welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines, and we have a story, just one story to talk about, and it is the aftermath of NASCAR's Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum on Sunday in Los Angeles. Now, like I said in my review video, if you haven't watched it already, make sure you go check it out. I talked about how NASCAR, they threw everything. They threw all eggs into one basket, hoping that this would pay off. Like, this event would start a ton of momentum for NASCAR, bringing a whole new fan base, a lot more younger, more diverse fan base from a part of the country that NASCAR is not accustomed to. And yeah, they were hoping for a big payout. They spent more millions of dollars on this event, ton of promotion, trying to bring out celebrities, make this event as big as it can be, and it ended up paying off when it mattered most. The ratings are out for the Clash, and it is way more than I expected. 4.28, yes, 4.28 million people tuned in to the race on Sunday. That is up 168% from last year's Clash, but you have to understand multiple things. Number one, the Clash was on the Roval, which is statistically not gonna have as much viewers as if it was on a super speedway like it had usually been on. Number two, it was on a weekday, I think on Wednesday instead of on a weekend, and it was on cable. But still, this race was the most watched Clash event since 2016. The last time it aired on network television. It also scored a 1.0 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is also really good. Now, the qualifying races, they also earned a 2.5 million viewership. And if you want to count both of those, it'll be more than 6 million, way more than 6 million. I think 6.5 million or even more than that. If you want to count those two things, then the Clash, the entire event itself, the qualifying races and the main event itself, was more watched than the Pro Bowl for the NFL, and that was on both ESPN and ABC. And still, more viewers tuned in to the Clash at the Coliseum. The only thing, of course, the only sporting event that beat out NASCAR was the Olympics, which it's no surprise. But still, the fact that NASCAR pulled that many viewers, there were a lot of people saying that they were predicting that the viewership would be around 3.5 million. And yes, that was the case, but that was just the preliminary ratings that came out yesterday. For over 4 million people to tune in to a non-exhibition race on a short track nonetheless is extremely impressive. And NASCAR, they deserve so much credit. Everything that they did. Fox, they didn't do a good job, but NASCAR, they did a tremendous job, from track preparations to the event itself, to try to make it as big of a deal as possible. They deserve a round of applause because they did a tremendous job and it ended up paying off. And this is what happens when you promote your event. I think Tony Stewart said this on the broadcast during the race. This is the perfect way to promote your race. Everything what NASCAR did was spectacular on how they promoted this race, and every other racetrack needs to replicate that. I'm not saying we need to have a halftime show, but try, at the very least, try to make your event as big as possible, like what NASCAR did with the Coliseum, because it will pay off. Now, they also posted the markets for the highest markets of the Clash. You have Greensboro, no surprise, at a 6.6. Charlotte and Indianapolis, surprisingly, that's up there with the 5.0. Norfolk, which is in Virginia, a 4.4. And Tampa, Raleigh, and Jacksonville, a 3.7. Now, LA, they had a 2.7 rating, and that is also extremely well. That is the highest non-Daytona 500 rating in nearly 6 years. That is an incredible accomplishment for NASCAR and for Fox, because they did broadcast the race. We have to give them a little bit of credit, but overall, a smash hit for the sport. Now, Adam Stern also reported that the crowd for the race exceeded over 50,000 fans, which was expected, around 50 to 60,000 fans. Now, the most that the Coliseum could hold, at least for this race, because there were a number of rows that were sectioned off, for safety reasons. I believe the highest capacity was 60,000. So for the Clash to exceed over 50,000, still quite an accomplishment. I don't think anyone was expecting a sellout. I don't think anyone was expecting that at all. But still, for it to nearly sell out in Los Angeles for a NASCAR race is still extremely impressive. Now, of course, like I said in my review on Sunday, with NASCAR now knowing that, hey, we can race in a stadium, this is possible with today's cars, NASCAR, of course, is going to try and venture out and to see if other stadiums are a possibility. Now, Ben Kennedy, the mastermind behind this whole project, he said that while NASCAR has racing series in Europe, Mexico, and Canada, this event, with NASCAR being able to hold events in stadiums, allows for worldwide possibilities. You think about some of the new markets for our existing international series and then expanding into others with a handful of existing road courses that you could go out there. Not a ton of short tracks. We have a ton of soccer stadiums. We've talked about this for a number of years, of building a temporary track inside of it. We haven't had the chance to do it internationally yet. So now the question is okay, let's say, what would the future of NASCAR racing in stadiums? Well, first of all, number one, I think the Clash, or at the very least, the Coliseum should be part of the NASCAR schedule, whether for the Clash or for the All-Star race. And I'm pretty confident I think we should do it for the All-Star race, because that event has been dead since 2012? It's been dead for a long time. But I really do believe that the Coliseum should stay on the schedule. Now, what about other stadiums? That could be a part of the schedule? Well, I don't know if there are any that are as big as a Coliseum that could hold a NASCAR track in the US, but there are some events, some stadiums outside of America that NASCAR could take a look at. You could look at maybe Wembley Stadium. They've hosted Race of Champions, and while that's a completely different series, still, you can possibly work around that and hold a temporary racetrack inside of it. A perfect event for a temporary racetrack outside of America would be Stade de France. I mean, it is a huge venue and would be perfect for a temporary NASCAR racetrack, but that would never work since I'm pretty sure NASCAR is non-existent in France. But still, I like the fact that NASCAR is looking. And I think this could be the start of a new era of NASCAR of expanding their market. They did it back in the 90s when they went to Japan. They held 2 races on Suzuka and then went to Twin Ring Motegi. I think now we could see NASCAR potentially expanding their brand once again internationally. But like they said, if they are going to do that, they're going to have to start small. Okay, do it first of all, expand in America, then expand to connecting countries like in Canada, in Mexico, expand in North America, and then if that pays off, then maybe go down to South America. Then if that pays off, then you go overseas. Start small. Don't just go automatically cross country, across the pond to Europe and expect a big applause. You have to start small. You have to crawl before you can walk. So I won't be surprised if you see NASCAR venture out into having cup races or one of their top 3 series race in Canada, race in Mexico multiple times a year. But it's exciting times for the sport, and the momentum the sport is going to be on coming to Daytona. And that's the beauty of it. The next race is the biggest race of the year, and you already have a $4 million viewership. For a short track race, a non-exhibition race, all of that momentum just going to carry over to the 500, I feel like. NASCAR currently at the moment is sitting on cloud 9 with new people coming into the sport, both in terms of fans and owners. We had Emmett Smith and Jesse Uji starting a team in the Xfinity Series. Also Floyd Mayweather, they're now going to be part of NASCAR. There's a lot riding on NASCAR's side at the moment. They're going to have a ton of momentum entering the sport. And right now, this is one of the best starts that NASCAR could ever have in the sport. This is one of the best things that's happened to NASCAR since maybe the 2011 finale. Probably around that era. It's been a long time, but yeah, I'm very excited for this season. NASCAR, I was very skeptical of y'all for doing this, but you have proved me wrong. Fantastic job, and I cannot wait for next year's Clash. Whether it's going to be the Clash or the All-Star race, I want to see the Coliseum return to the schedule next season in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, that's going to conclude this episode of Inside Lines. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, of course, to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Tell me what are your thoughts of the Clash. Did you like it? Did you not? Would you like to see it return to the schedule next season in some way, shape, or form? Or, here's a little question. Are there any other stadiums that you feel like that NASCAR could potentially take a look at in the future? Again, all your suggestions down below. Until next time, my name is Jet, and I'll see y'all next time.